Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Jack with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I'm gonna show you how to loosen up and open up those man hamstrings. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Thursday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. And it doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive into this. All right, today we're gonna be looking at those chronically tight man hamstrings. And I label them man hamstrings because that is generally who I hear complaining about tightness through their hamstrings. But before we get into it, if you are a dad who wants to move with the ease and energy of your kids, take a moment to go down to the description here and fill out the coaching application. I'll get in contact with you and see if you're a good fit for what I'm offering, and we'll have you moving in the right direction so that you can be free and not stiff or restricted or dealing with aches and pains as you're trying to play with your kids or when you're working out in the gym. So if that sounds like you, drop below in the description and fill out that coaching application. Now, before we get into the exercises today to help you relieve those hamstrings, that hamstring tightness, there's one key component that will dictate whether you need any of these at all in the first place, and that will be actually what's happening at your pelvis. So if you are chronically stuck in anterior pelvic tilt or overextension of the lumbar spine, or think of it as a water bowl spilling water out the front of your pelvis, then none of this hamstring stuff that we're about to show you will actually really matter until you fix your anterior pelvic tilt. So the first problem that you really need to address if you have anterior pelvic tilt is stability around your pelvis. The ability to activate your glutes to their full potential and stabilize the pelvis from the glutes with the lower abdomen, and that ability to just keep the pelvis neutral under load or even just in your daily movement practice or whatever it is at work when you're seated, that type of thing. So if you don't correct the anterior pelvic tilt, that is why you'll chronically have tight hamstrings in the first place, because those hamstrings will always be at full stretch when you put the pelvis in anterior pelvic tilt and lengthen the back of that chain there through the posterior side. So that is the first step. If you have anterior pelvic tilt, you need to correct that through strength and stability training first, okay? That might be the very first thing you need to do. Once you have that down, then you can dive into these exercises right here. All right, the first exercise we're gonna hit here is a banded distraction. So what you're gonna do is, with the band anchored low on your post, place it high up in the hip crease so that it sits on the top of the thigh with the knee coming through the band. We're gonna pull that knee tight to the chest with the leg that's not in the band pressing off the door frame, off the squat rack, whatever you're using here. And we're gonna hug that knee in tight so that the quads are tight to the rib cage, to the abdomen. We wanna keep them tight there as we interlock our fingers on the back of the leg behind the knee. Now we're gonna floss from here so that we're flossing the hamstrings through this tightened position, and we wanna try and get the leg as straight as possible. So we're actually focusing less on the stretch of the hamstrings and more on the flex of the quadriceps, and that is a huge key here. We gotta bring the hamstrings and quadriceps back into balance in these positions. So we're focusing on the flex of the quadriceps, seeing how tight we can flex them and how much we can extend the leg. Now the first 10 reps I did with the toes pointed, that's gonna keep it to the hamstrings mostly. Now when we flex the foot back toward us in that dorsiflexed position, toes curling back, and thinking of pressing out through the heel, that's going to actually bring into it the calf as well. So you'll see which one actually plays a bigger role, because sometimes we think it's our hamstrings, but our calf musculature, which overlaps the knee, is part of that limiting factor. So we're gonna do about 10 reps of each here, trying to get that leg as straight as possible. You're gonna feel tightness, you're gonna feel a little neurological floss all the way through that foot. Just breathe and relax to the best ability as you can. Next, using the bar in our squat rack, we're going to do some self-myofascial release here, and this is called the monkey bars of death for a good reason. It's going to be one of the most uncomfortable things you'll do when you haven't done it before, okay? So you're going to shake a little bit, you're going to start sweating as you do this, but we're going to start holding onto the rack and we're going to roll the length of the hamstrings. So we almost want to feel like we're going up, right up into the base of our pelvis with the glutes, and we're coming into the back of the knee. You'll see I'm in a nice lunged position, so my weight is fully on that bar as I'm rolling this pressure wave here. I want to keep the majority of my weight on that bar if I'm able to. If you really need to, you can take some off to help yourself get through it at first. But again, highly uncomfortable when you first start this one. Where I'm at today, you'll notice that there's not a lot going on, which that's just progress and adaptation over time, okay? So once we kind of do those pressure rolls, we're searching out for tender trigger point areas. And when we find them, what we're gonna start to do is that straightening of the leg again. So we wanna kick out, flex the quadriceps, keep the ribs and abdomen to those quads as we straighten out. And we're trying both, again, the pointed toe position and the flexed foot position as we kick out, mainly focusing on the quadricep extension, even though you will feel the tightness of those hamstrings. The last step that we actually want to do here is strengthen the hamstrings through range of motion. So here I'm showing a Romanian deadlift, and we want to make sure, this is probably the most important, even though it is the last that I'm showing. We want to make sure that we are moving well and actually capable of doing a good hinge movement pattern. If we do not know how to hinge well, we're chronically going to be overusing the hamstrings when it's the whole posterior chain that should be getting loaded. The glutes, the upper back, the stability of the spinal column, that all matters. So I suggest starting with Romanian deadlifts. These are one of the easiest to begin, and the Romanian deadlift starts from the top position. That's why it's so important. We start from a position where we're not at a mechanical disadvantage. Then you can progress to things like deadlifts from the floor, or even doing kettlebell swings, more explosive hamstring strengthening movements. Things like kettlebell windmills are excellent for this, or even like half kneeling positions where you're doing half kneeling windmills. These are all great options that focus on hamstring strength in positions that we're normally tight in. We want to load those up and actually provide strength through that range of motion to help open up and unlock those hamstrings for good. If you're always moving wrong, you're always going to have hamstring tightness. If you can get quality movement, then the hamstrings will naturally open up overall. All right, and there you have it. A quick 3-step process to approach your hamstring flexibility and restore that mobility to its fullest potential. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below, and take a moment to share this one with your dad friend who's always complaining about how tight his hamstrings are. He's been told his hamstrings are tight and it's affecting his low back, you know, stuff like that. Make sure you share that with him, send it his way as well. If you have not already, and if you are a dad who wants to improve your mobility in the next 90 days to move with the ease and energy of your kids, what I need you to do is take a moment and fill out that 2-minute coaching application down below so I can get in contact with you and make sure that the program I'm offering is a good fit for what you're actually looking for. Again, that will help you move better when you're playing with the kids or when you're in the gym doing your workouts. Either way, huge benefits to it. And last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Thursday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. Catch you guys next week.